Welcome back, everybody, to Empyrion Galactic Survival. I've got my game paused. This is the Getting Started tutorial series, and this is part something. I don't even know what the hell. I think it's part 15. Episode 15, part 15. And, yeah, so here we are. I've been really busy, you guys, in real life with my job and, you know, with the YouTube channel and stuff. And, you know, I'd like to get these videos out a little more quickly than I am and get through the whole series, but I'm just, it's hard for me to do that, so just bear with me. Those of you who are following the series and watching the videos as they come out, apologize that I'm not doing a little bit more quickly, but you know, I can only do what I can do. So I will, you know, continue to do the best that I can to get this tutorial series finished, so you get the whole Monty, or the full Monty rather, so to speak. Well, you could get the whole Monty too, I guess, if you wanted to. I'm digressing. Okay, so sorry. Anyway, yeah, just been super busy, so appreciate your patience and all that, and you know, we will definitely finish this tutorial series, I promise. I just, you know, can't do the videos back to back, so we'll get through it though. We will, so just be patient if you would, please. I really appreciate it. Okay, so lots of things to cover today. First of all, you'll notice that I just took a shower. Let's take another shower. I did have like 0.1 body radiation from the irradiated biome that we were in, I believe, in the last episode. And that's not really that much. It's only really 10% of the way to dangerous. But, you know, one of the things about me is, and I mentioned this before, I think, is I'm used to playing this game on the hardest settings. And the time that I spent in the irradiated biome, if I had been on the hardest settings, I would have had probably more like 0.3, 0.4, maybe even 0.5 body radiation by the time we got out of there. So I'm just kind of in the habit, and this is a good habit to be in, of just, you know, taking a shower when I get back to the base to just make sure that I've cleared all of my body radiation. So anyway, we've taken care of that, and that, of course, is why the main reason why you should have a shower in your base. You can also make a toilet too, and what the toilet will do for you is it will cure indigestion, because you can get like little sick tummy, so to speak, from eating certain things in the game, particularly if you're eating like raw stuff. So the toilet will remove indigestion, and the shower will remove body radiation and also restore temperature, as it says in the tooltip. Okay, so our goal for this episode, our ultimate goal, is to get our farm built, or at least started. But there's a couple things I want to go over first before we get started with that in earnest. So I do have some things from the comments that I want to go over that you guys pointed out. Really good stuff. So first of all, a couple of episodes ago, I think it was, I was talking about reputation and about how if you mine ore on a faction's land and you're not friendly with them, you'll take a rep hit. Well, while I was telling you that, at the exact moment, in fact, when I was telling you that, I picked a couple of plants, I believe, and I think at one point I killed a critter on their land too. And guess what? Both of those things will also give you a rep hit if you do them. And I just, you know, I kind of know that, but I just wasn't thinking about it, so to speak. And so, yeah, if you are concerned about not taking a rep hit on another faction's land, do not pick plants on their land. Do not kill animals unless they are predatory animals. And let's talk about that a little more in just a second. And don't mine the ore. And, of course, don't attack them, you know, the more obvious things, too. Okay, so that was my bad. Just wasn't paying close attention. But I do want to make sure that you guys know that that's the deal, okay? Now, what I did was I actually killed one of those grasshopper cricket thingamadoodles. The game calls them leaf cutters. To me, in my mind, those things are predators because they will attack you. In fact, they're little rat bastards. They'll, you know, as soon as you turn your back on them, they'll attack you, and they come and troll you and all that. But apparently, the Talon, at least, do not consider the grasshopper of the cricket guy a predator. So when I killed that thing, I did take a bit of a rep hit. Now, none of it was serious. I mean, it wasn't enough to cause any lasting damage. But, I mean, if I went on their land and killed 100 crickets, then I could be in trouble. So just be aware of that and, you know, and know what the deal is. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay, so that takes care of that. I had mentioned, I kind of went through how the salvaging. Oh shit, look at that, guys, we've got radiated fog. I think this is the first time we've seen that on the temper planet. Okay, so here's a good example of how the weather can be potentially dangerous. Right now, we are taking 2.7 rads of radiation. And I'm trying to figure out why that is since we're in our base. If you look up on my screen, you'll see that it's currently 3.1 rads where we're at. And that's because our base is not sealed. Some ways. Oh, you know what? It's the doors. It's the frickin' doors. That's right. Okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to retrieve blocks, and we're going to pick up the doors. These doors are not airtight, which means they're also not radiation tight. Which kind of sucks, because I like my glass doors, but I like to have body radiation less than I like to have glass doors. So what we're going to do is we're going to put in the solid doors so that we're not getting our nuts fried here in our base here by radiation. There. Okay, so, yeah, okay, so if you look in the upper right-hand corner, you'll see that the rads went all the way back down to 0, and we're fine. But notice that it's in the lower right-hand corner, again, I'm talking about in the upper right-hand corner of my screen, right underneath the mini-map, you'll notice that it says 4.6 rads in that smaller number. It's telling me that's what it is outside. Where the current environment that I am in, which is inside of my base, we have 0.0 rads, but outside, it's 4.9 rads and rising. Radiation storms, guys, are no joke. Be really careful with them. Now, if we had not yet built our base, and we had a radiation storm, which you might, the next best thing you can do is hop in your enclosed cockpit. If you did not have an enclosed cockpit and you have a big-ass radiation storm going on, and you also don't have a base, you had damn well better get an enclosed cockpit as soon as possible, or get some kind of an enclosed base as soon as possible, or you're probably going to die. Or at the very least, you're going to get some serious radiation sickness, which is going to lead to other serious issues. Okay? So, case in point, we've got this, and like I said, I think this is the first time we've seen a radiation storm, or actually more accurately radiated fog on this planet. But, you know, you just want to make sure that you're prepared for these eventualities. Probably the best thing that you can do to prepare is get this damaged hover bike and change out to an enclosed cockpit as soon as you can, and then you'll be fine. You'll have to sit in the cockpit and twiddle your thumbs for a few hours, in-game hours, not real-time hours, and sit it out, but, you know, it's better than dying, right? Okay, cool. So, yeah, there we go. Radiation storm. They suck. Some planets will have them more frequently, you know, than others, too. So the temper planet, you'll run into them occasionally, but not too terribly often. Okay, so anyways, back to the notes. A couple episodes, I think, ago, maybe it was last episode, maybe it was the one before that, I can't remember, but I talked about salvaging and how the different tools return different amounts of salvage, and different methods of salvaging, you know, whether you use, for example, a furnace versus your multi-tool and that sort of thing. And I believe I told you that the tier 1 multi-tool, which is this guy here, and the survival tool, this guy here, will both return 0.33 or 33% of the materials, and that is true. The difference, however, between the survival tool and the T1 multi-tool is the survival tool will take you about 5 to 6 times as long to salvage that item, okay? So you're still getting the same shitty 33% amount, which sucks, but at least with the T1 tool, you're going to be able to salvage 5 to 6 times faster than you would with the survival tool. So I don't think I pointed that out, and I wanted to clarify that for you guys so you know what the deal is. Okay? Another thing that I don't think I pointed out specifically is that if you look in the lower right-hand corner of my screen, all the way down in the lower right-hand corner, right now it says multi-tool, it says ammo 204/4. That's how many charges are in my in the tool, and then 4 is how many packs I have left in my inventory, right? So we got 4 there. And then the range is of the range of the tool, which happens to be 5 meters, so I can hit blocks up to 5 meters out. What I want to point out to you, though, is if you look directly to the left of where it says current range, you'll see like this little icon that shows an arrow that's pointing up. That is the whole block indicator, right? If I right click and I look, I can see that same icon here. And what that's really doing is it's just telling me what mode the drill's in, and I don't have to right click to figure it out ahead of time. It's just a quick way of letting me know what mode the drill's in, right? So if I then change it to retreat, or to salvage rather, see how that icon now changes to like a little block that's kind of, you know, coming apart sort of thing. I guess that's what that is anyways, right? And then if I change it to upgrade, then it changes to the upgrade icon, right? And then if I change it to downgrade, it changes to the downgrade. And if I change it to change and rotate, then it doesn't show me anything at all. Don't ask me why. And then the I don't know why that didn't show anything. And then that might be a bug actually. And then if I change it to repair, I get the little screwdriver and wrench icon. Okay, so that's really useful, guys, because you know, you always want to be aware of what mode your multi-tool is, because your multi-tool can be destructive, right? So get used to reading that icon so you understand, you know, what it's telling you, and you know what mode you're in without having to go into the menu first. Okay, so there you go. Now, the last thing we want to do after this damn radiation fog goes away is we're going to do a little bit of a test. One of you guys asked me a question in the comments. You asked me if how things respawn. And I think that I responded to that. And I think I even maybe told you guys this in like the first, you know, one of the very early episodes, that stuff will respawn when you log out. That is actually not true. I was mistaken about that. The way that respawning works in this game is actually a little bit of a mystery. Here's what I'm talking about. In general, if you harvest something that is pickable, like, for example, corn dogs, those corn dogs will respawn the next day, the next in-game day. Okay? But if you harvest something and destroy it in the process, like, for example, if you're harvesting an ironstone, or a tree, you cut down a tree and you destroy the object to get the resource, it's not supposed to respawn, I think. Now, why am I a little unsure about that? It's because I actually did a little bit of research on this on the forums, and nobody could give a definitive answer. Some people were saying that the game will not respawn stuff, and that's the way it's supposed to work. Some people will say the game will respawn stuff, and that's supposed to work. Other people will say if the game respawns stuff, and when I say stuff, I mean things like trees and rocks that you've destroyed, then it's a bug. And then other people are saying, no, it's not a bug, that's the way that it's supposed to work. And I'm like sitting here going, what in the hell is the answer here, you guys? I have not paid really close attention to that. I just kind of assumed that stuff kind of respawned as long as it wasn't within a certain radius of your base. But because I haven't paid super close attention to that, I can't tell you without a shadow of a doubt that that's the way that it works. So here's what we're going to do. Come on, you stupid radiation. Get the hell out of here. I've got a video to record for the peeps here. Jeez Louise. We're going to do a test. Okay, we're going to do... Oh, shit, listen to me. It's gone. Actually, it's not gone quite yet. Look at the number in the upper right-hand corner. It says 5.1. It's going down. Now it says 5.0. In a moment, it's going to say 4.9. So here's the thing. Notice at the top, to the left, upper left of the minimap, it says storm now. That means the radiation fog is gone, and now we have a storm going on, but that doesn't mean the radiation itself is gone. It takes a little while for it to dissipate, so don't just go out there all lickety-split and start doing your test to see if shit's going to respawn or not, and then all of a sudden get irradiated because the radiation's not quite gone yet. So pay attention to those things. And, you know, I mean, if I look outside, it's pretty damn obvious. It's still kind of all pea green looking and gross out there. Okay, so we still have to wait a little bit longer for that damn radiation to go away. But here's what we're going to do, guys. We're going to do a test to see what's going to happen. So I'm going to go We're going to start by making a harvester. So let's do that first. And then we're going to go cut down a bunch of trees that are just right over there. So we're going to go cut down a whole shitload of those trees. And then we're going to finish out today's episode. And then when I log back in the next time, which will be the next day, we'll see if those trees grow back. And then we'll know. Whether or not it's a bug is irrelevant. We just want to know, is it going to happen or is it not going to happen? Bug or not. Okay? All right, so here's the deal. We're going to go into our tech tree. We do that by pressing the F3 key or by going into the tab key and then hitting the tech tree. And we want to go to hover vessel because the harvester is a hover vessel implement. And we're going to scroll down and we're going to find the harvester, the harvest module, and we're going to double click on that to learn it. Now notice in the tooltip it says requires the harvest box wood and ore to automatically pick up harvested wood. This item, I think, and we can test this too, but this item you used to actually be able to also harvest stone with this, but I believe now you can only harvest wood with it. But they still call it the harvester, but we can test that. And besides, even if you can harvest stone with it, you really are going to be much better off building some drills and harvesting the stone with the drills, because that's really what those are for. Okay? But let's not get into the drills right now. We'll talk about that kind of stuff in a little while. So what we're going to do is we're going to learn the harvest module, but notice that it says that it requires the harvest box for wood and ore, in parentheses, to actually use this. Okay, so what we're going to then do is say, okay, where the hell's the harvest box at? So what we need to do is scroll up, and we need to find the ore and wood controller, which is right here. We've already unlocked the cargo boxes, which is the prerequisite to this. So now we can double click on that and learn that too. We got lots of points too, but I'm just kind of, the way that I usually work this game, guys, is in terms of the tech tree, is I hang on to my points and I only spend them when I actually need them, right? I don't sit here and just start learning a whole bunch of shit. I just, level up, I accumulate my points, and then when I need something, I come in here and learn what I need at the time. Okay? So, we've learned the harvester and the harvester, or rather the ore and wood box. You need that for both drills and for the harvester. You could also call it the glorified chainsaw if you wanted to. And now what we're going to do is we're going to go over to our constructor. We're going to turn it on. I've had it turned off because I'm not using it and I don't want it to draw power unnecessarily. But we're going to turn it on and we're going to go to hover vessel. And we're going to click equipment. And then we're going to find the harvester. No, I'm sorry. The harvester is actually not in equipment. It's in weapons and items. It's right there. And we're going to learn the harvest module. We're also going to make sure we're still on hover vessels, and we're going to go back to equipment, and we're going to learn the wood, the ore and wood controller, because we need this in order to collect the wood that we're going to chop down with the harvester. If you don't have one of these on, then you'll cut down the wood and you won't get any resources, or it might fall on the ground, I can't remember, but you got to have this in order to actually collect it. While we're doing that, we're also going to make ourselves a few extensions. So I need to go back into the tech tree, F3, or click it up here, and I need to go find extensions, which are these guys here. Now, in order for me to learn the extensions, I first have to unlock the container controller. What is the difference between these three? Well, the container controller is just a general controller for the storage that you can then create on your vessel. This applies to everything: bases, capital vessels, hover vessels, and small vessels. The container ore and wood is specifically needed to collect ore and wood, whether you are using it on a hover vessel or a capital vessel or a small vessel, and whether or not you are mining a deposit on a planet, an asteroid in space, or cutting down trees in space or on a planet. Though there aren't any trees in space, I'm just messing with you. Okay? The ammo controller is exclusively needed. Well, no, cut that. Forget I said exclusively, because I'm going to tell you something about these in a second. The ammo controller is needed for ammo. So if you're going to put on your vessel guns of any sort, whether they are Gatling guns or a turret, you've got to have an ammo controller, because that's where you put the ammo inside of. Now, I may have told you this, or I may not have. I don't remember. But you on a small vessel and a hover vessel in particular, you don't need a container controller at all. You just don't. Why? Because everything the container controller can do, so can the ore and wood and the ammo controller. When I build a small vessel in particular, though now that we can actually harvest from small vessels, it's going to apply to both of those. Okay, so let me back up a little bit. This is a brand new change with 1.0 and actually 12.3 I think it was. You only need these two. Okay, so here's how I usually do this. This is on a small vessel, mind you, or an HV. I will install an ammo controller, and I can use that ammo controller for all of my storage. I have to have it for the ammo, but I can put everything else in there too if I want to. If I'm not intending to use the vessel to harvest anything, that's all I need. I don't need a normal container controller. I don't need an ore and wood controller. All I need is an ammo controller, and that's my entire storage for the whole entire vessel. However, if I am intending to harvest with that vessel, then I'm also going to need an ore and wood controller to collect those resources. You never ever need a normal container controller on a small vessel or a hover vessel. You can put it on there, there's no harm in doing it other than the fact that you're putting another device on there that uses 15 CPU and can't be adjacent to these devices for no real reason. Okay? On a CV and a base, you probably are going to want a normal container controller just because you're going to be storing a lot larger variety of stuff. And in fact, you don't put an ore and wood controller on a base anyways because a base can't harvest anything. Okay? So, all that to say, we need an ore and wood controller on our vessel because we're going to use it to harvest some wood. And we need to harvest the wood so we can continue making biofuel. Even though we have promethium now, we're going to make a little bit more biofuel until we can really get into the promethium. And then, so that leads to the next thing. I know I'm not getting off on rabbit trails. It's all important stuff, but I know I'm throwing out a lot of shit at you, but you know, that's what these videos do, right? Anyway, okay, so here's the thing. If I put the ore and wood controller on all by itself, I can use it, but it only has 125 storage units. Okay? That's not very much. I'll only be able to cut down 2 or 3 trees and then I'll be full. So what I then do with the controller is I add extensions. Okay? Each extension is also 125 storage units. So if I add 10 of these, I'm adding 1,250 storage units to my controller and increasing my storage capacity tenfold. That's the whole idea behind the containers and the extensions. Okay? So I'm going to learn this, and then we're going to make some extensions. Now, there's a secondary thing that you can do with extensions, and I do this almost exclusively now on anything that I build new in regards to hover vessels and even small vessels to a lesser extent, is you can not only use these for storage, but you can also use them as the main building blocks of your vessel. Why would I do that? Because they have more hit points than just normal old steel blocks and a lot more than just the composite or plastic blocks. So what I try and do in the early game especially is if I'm going to build a new hover vessel or if I'm going to build a small vessel, I'm going to try and use as many container extensions as I can for the hull so that I'm killing 2 birds with 1 stone. I'm adding more storage space to my vessel, but I'm also adding a little bit stronger block to the hull than just your normal steel block. There is a downside to this. The downside is that the extensions use more CPU than the normal steel block does. So you do have to be careful that you don't overdo it. And make sure that your vessel can handle the CPU load by using more of these. Okay? A lot of stuff, I know, but just watch the video over again 100 times until it gets ingrained in your brain. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We made our harvester. I think we made our harvester, right? Is it in the output? Look at that. It's a beautiful thing. And we made our ore and wood controller, but we also want to make some extensions too. So let's go back into here. A hover vessel and equipment. An extension is not considered a block, it's considered equipment, right? So don't look for it over in the blocks menu. You want to look for it in the equipment, or rather, I should say that the devices menu. And let's just queue up 10 of those by holding down the shift key and clicking. And we'll see where, what we can do with those 10. All right, cool. Now, I want to show something else to you while we're waiting for those to cook up. I went out, I got onto the game off camera and just harvested up a bunch of stone. And so each one of these portable constructors have, 200-300 stone in each of them, because we're going to need that stone, to build out our farm wing here a little bit later in this episode. Okay? So let's see where we're at. Oh, and I also put some more fuel in here. And we're continuing to make purified water, which is an ingredient for other things that we'll need to make. And also increasing our portable oxygen that we need for when we dive under the water and or when we go up into space. Okay. How are we doing on food? Yeah, we've got steak and cheese, so we're doing pretty good on that too. So we're in pretty good shape on food. Plus, I've got 47 Cliff Bars built up in my survival constructor, and remember, I'm not removing these because they will not spoil as long as I keep them in here. So we're fine on food. We're doing actually quite well on food. How are we doing? Okay, so these guys are done. Let's turn this sucker back off now so it's not using power. Let's check our power too. Okay, we're at 77%. We're not in too bad a shape. And now what we're going to do, guys, is we're going to press F4, and we're going to connect to we're going to connect to our output, which has all the stuff in it we just made, with our wireless. And then we're going to put the controller, the harvester, and the extensions on our toolbar. And we're going to go make some minor modifications to our hover vessel here. Okay, so here's the thing. Why is that saying I'm leaving? What the hell? Oh, we haven't made a wireless device for this base. I'm confusing this with my Let's Play series. Good Lord, you can't take me anywhere. Let's go to base. Let's learn the wireless. No, I'm sorry, it's in miscellaneous. Let's learn the wireless connector. We already did. Man, I could have sworn we made one of those, but we obviously haven't. Let's make ourselves a wireless connector. Yeah, I'm getting confused with my Let's Play series. Sorry, guys. Here's the wireless connection. It's pretty inexpensive to make. We do want to make sure, though, it doesn't... Actually, I don't think it matters if we're on base or capital vessel for this, because I think it's common to all of them. How do I know that? Because when I hover my cursor over it, do you see where it says placeable? It says BA, CV, SV, HV, which means it'll work with all of them. That's not always the case, though, so make sure it's a good habit to get into, to make sure you're on the right filter for the right vessel or your base before you make some of these things, because in some cases, that device will only work on the base or only work on the small vessel, etc., etc. What this is going to do, guys, is it's going to basically extend the distance by which we can keep connected to this bin, right? So let's just pop this sucker... Where do we want to put this guy? Let's put him up there. Okay. And now we have quite a bit more range with our wireless. And we can go quite a ways out. So if we just keep walking out this way... and why is this useful? It's useful because let's say that I'm going to build a humongous capital vessel. I mean a big, giant-ass capital vessel. I might need to actually get this far away from the base in order to build it. And see, I'm still connected on the wireless. As soon as I get out of range, though, then it'll start bleeping at me and say, yo, dude, you're outside of the range. Also notice in the lower right-hand corner, the little icon next to the hand, it'll start flashing red when I start getting on the border of the range, too. You see that? How it's kind of pulsing red now, down in the lower right-hand corner? Okay, so that's how that works. Okay, and we just lost connection. If you get outside of the connection, you have about 5 seconds-ish to get back inside before it'll actually disconnect you. More meat for us. And XP. Okay. Shift plus F will auto loot. Shift plus F. Alright guys, so anyway, we learned all about the wireless, everything you ever wanted to know and then some. Let's press F4 to reconnect. And we're going to make a couple of quick modifications to our hover vessel so that we can perform our respawn test. Now, right now, I see the wireless toolbar and there's nothing on it because I disconnected from it, so it reset the toolbar. But all the stuff is still in the container. If I go into my inventory, then it shows my own toolbar. But remember, you can switch back and forth between the two from these buttons down here. Or if you're not in your inventory, just toggle the T key, T for toolbar, and you can switch back and forth between the two. To put stuff back on my wireless toolbar, I have to press F4, go into the wireless menu, and then drag it back down onto the toolbar once again. Alright, so notice that I got so tired of this damn thing nosediving on me that I moved my Gatling guns way to the back so that it's now much better balanced. So let's get up off the ground a little bit. Okay, see, it's much better. It might not be perfectly level, but it's way better because before it was like really nosediving, if you guys remember. So much better. Okay, so here's the thing. We got to figure out where we're going to put the controller and these extensions. So we have lots of options here. What I think I'm going to do though is I'm going to come up here with my drone, F5 with your drone. I'm going to put my survival tool, I'm sorry, not my survival tool, my multi-tool on whole block. How do I know it's on whole block? Because I'm looking at that icon in the lower right hand corner and it's showing me the whole block icon, or the retrieve blocks icon rather. And here's another thing. Because I am connected to the wireless container, to the output pin specifically inside the base, anything I pull off this vehicle is going to go right into that container. That's good, but sometimes it can throw you off a little bit if you're expecting whatever you're retrieving to go in your own inventory. Just know how it works. In most cases, particularly later on in the game when you're working with bigger stuff and more weight and that sort of thing, you're going to want everything you retrieve to go into a cargo bin. But sometimes, and this happens to me and happens to everybody else too, sometimes you'll retrieve something and then you'll go to look for it in your inventory and it's not there. Well, it's probably because you were actually wirelessly connected to a different container and that's where it ended up. Okay, anyway, let's do this. We're going to go ahead and remove these blocks, and actually, you know what? I don't really care to save these, especially the ruined ones, so let's just salvage for the moment. And we're going to remove all of these blocks, especially the ruined ones, but you know what? I think I'm going to actually remove everything, at least in this little cavity here. And I'm going to remove the cargo box too and I don't really want to save it, so we'll salvage it. Oh, it had some fuel in it. Okay, we better hang on to that. Because once you can start using extensions and whatnot, you don't need the cargo boxes. The cargo boxes are really just an early game thing. Now, here's another thing that's important to know. If you have two different controllers on your vessel, they cannot be touching one another, nor can their extensions touch one another. That sounded a little creepy, didn't it? Okay, let's move on. So, because I want my ore and wood controller to be the one that has all the space, I'm going to actually move my ammo controller to a different place on the vessel so that they're not touching. That also sounds creepy. Okay, let's move on. So, first thing I want to do is I want to get the ammo out of here, at least temporarily, so I'm going to hit F4. Okay, I'm going to change to my damaged hover bike, and it looks like we don't have any ammo in there at all, so we're good to go. Okay, so we're good to go. I do want to save this controller, however, so I'm going to put this back to retrieve blocks so I don't destroy it, and then we're going to pick it up. Now we have to go into the F4 menu back to the wireless because it put the ammo controller in the cargo bin, not in my inventory, And we have to move that back down to our toolbar so that we can replace it. Not replace it, but replace it. What I think I'm going to do with this, guys, is I'm going to put it right in place of this block here. So I have to press T to get to my toolbar so that I can get to my multi-tool. And this is a normal steel block, so yeah, maybe we'll hang on to it. We might need it later. So we're going to retrieve it. I'm going to press T to switch back to the wireless, and I'm going to put my ammo controller right there. If I had taken ammo out of it, I would now put that ammo back inside. Alright? Now, did we retrieve at least 2 steel blocks? We didn't. We retrieved 1, and we have a destroyed. Alright, you know what we're going to do? Actually, no. Here's what we're going to do. Here's what we're going to do. I know exactly what we're going to do. We're going to take 2 of these extensions, okay? And we're going to put one here. But you know what? Let's right-click, and let's choose, I don't know, maybe this shape here. Now, you guys already know this. We covered this when we talked about blocks and building the base. Everything we learned about pivoting and turning things on the axis and choosing the different shapes works exactly the same when it comes to working with vessel blocks. They're just smaller, okay? So the way that I did that, though, is I right-clicked to get into the shape menu, and then I chose the shape that I want. We will get a little bit more into a little bit more detail about how to do that and what the shapes mean and what you can do with them when we start working on the tutorial part, the part of the tutorial where we're going to actually do some building of vessels. But for now, I just want to choose this shape. But that's not the direction I want it to go in. What I actually want it to do is I want to flip it. So I'm going to change my axis to this axis, and I'm going to just flip it up that way so that it's going the direction that I'd like it to be. So it's not just a square block. It's, you know, it looks a little bit more, you know, adds a little more flavor to the vessel. Okay? How did I do that? Let's review. The insert and the delete keys change the axis. We already learned this, but we'll go over it again. Every time I press either insert or delete, it changes the axis. The home and the end keys rotate the block on that axis. Okay? Page down and page up moves the block up or down as needed. So that's just a little review of what we already know, assuming you watched that episode when we built the base. Alright, now here's the other thing I can do and probably want to do. So I want to turn the symmetry plane on so I don't have to work twice. How do I do that? I press the N as in symmetry. I know, that was terrible. N as in Nancy key. Then I click symmetry plane, and then I'm going to choose the YZ plane and make sure that it's directly on the center of the vessel. As soon as I place it, I'm going to press escape to get out of the N menu. And now, when I place this block here, voila, it also places on this side for me. What did we just do there? We did a couple of things. We added 250 more units of storage space to our ammo controller so we can put a little bit more ammo in the bike. And we also covered up some of those vulnerable places, in particular our repulsor engines, so that if we take any fire later on, they have a little bit of protection. Cool. All right, now let's go over here. What we're going to do with our ore and stone controller is we're going to plop it right down in the middle, and then we're going to fill in around it with our extensions. I'm going to right click though, and I want to go back to just normal cubes, at least for this first layer. And I'm going to go ahead and just drag a little row of those and then plop one down in there. Now here's the thing that's important to understand about these extensions. They all have to touch either directly or indirectly the controller. If I take this extension and I put it up here, its space is not contributing to this controller. Why? Because it's not touching it. Right? So you have to make sure that when you're setting these extensions down that they all are either directly, like this one and this one, or indirectly, these going through this one are touching the controller in order to get the space out of it. If you don't do that and you set it down, then it just becomes another block. I'm going to press T. I'm going to make sure that I'm on retrieve block mode by looking in the lower right hand corner, and then I'm going to pick this back up. I'm going to go into F4, put it back on my toolbar, press T, and then put it back in place. So here's what we're going to do now. We're going to set this block here. All right, and then I want, let's see, I want 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 more extensions so that we can actually fill out the back end of our hover vessel. If you are not inside of your crafting room of your base, but you are anywhere near a block that's attached to the base, you can access your constructor from where you are. This is a poor example because I can just walk in here and go right to the constructor on my very, very small, tiny base. However, if I had a really large base and I was, 200 meters away from the crafting room, as long as I can get to the base and get to the P menu, remember P for control panel, I can then access my constructor from the devices menu by going to devices, finding my constructor, which happens to be here. Let's actually group these. We never did that when we set that stuff down. I just like everything grouped because it's nice and neat. Plus you need to do that to name items and to create special switches. No, we're not going there right now. I'm just telling you there's a reason for it. And then I can click on the large constructor, and I can either double click on it or click access, and then I can actually access the constructor directly from here. Okay, now what we want to do is, I said we wanted 8 more extensions, right? I think that's what it was. So I'm going to be on hover vessel, and I'm going to queue up 8 more of these. How can I do that quickly? Shift click adds 10, and then just click twice to remove the extra 2, so you just make 8. A little faster than clicking 8 times, but little tricks like that. Okay, so let's wait for those to finish. Now, also, because of the fact that we're pretending, right, that I am 200 meters away from my crafting room on my big-ass base, you can access the container that the constructor is putting stuff into by clicking that little button there. Okay, so let me go back. What I want to do is I want to pull whatever this constructor is making out of its output bin. If I may not be wirelessly connected to it. I might be wirelessly connected to a different bin in my base, but the constructor put everything in here. So how can I get to that quickly? By clicking on this little container access button, and then I can take and drag whatever was put in here and put it on my wireless toolbar, and then it moves those into whatever I'm wirelessly connected to. Now, yes, they are one and the same in this particular situation, but, you might, if you have a larger base and you're 200 meters away from your crafting room, you probably have several containers in a lot of different bins, and you may not necessarily be wirelessly connected at that moment to the output of your constructor. So I hope that makes sense. Let me go over that one more time. If you're in any constructor at all that has an attached container, you can get directly into that container through these little buttons here, the container access buttons. Okay, very useful to know when you are 200 meters away from your crafting room. All right, let's go ahead and come back here now. We're going to press F5 to get in our drone. And what we're going to do is we're just going to fill this out, okay? So I'm going to press the T key. I'm going to put another cube there. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to right-click, and I'm going to select this little rounded edge round dude. I'm going to make sure that my axis is vertical, which it is by default, and then I'm going to hit the End key or the Home key, it doesn't matter, to rotate it the direction that I want it to be in. In this particular case, I'm going to have this block follow the contour, more or less, of the cockpit that it's butted up against. I'm going to put one there and one there. I'm also going to come around to the back here. I'm going to hit Home and rotate that this direction, and then plop that in the middle. Okay. For the corners, I'm going to right-click, and I'm going to choose the corner round. I'm going to hit End to rotate it, and then plop it in place, and look at that. we actually have, we're making our our damaged hover vessel look a little bit less damaged. Now, we still have some crappy blocks down here that we should deal with at some point, but I'm not worried about that right at the moment. What we did is we added a shitload more of storage space to our little hover bike by way of adding a controller and extensions. And in this particular case, we added a wood and ore controller so that we can do the last thing, and that is take our little harvester and plop it right down in front. Now, that might make us a little front heavy. Let's just see if it starts to dip down. Actually, it probably won't until I get into it. Yeah, it's very, very slowly dipping down, but that's okay because you know what? This harvester that we put on the front end of here is temporary. I'm not going to keep that on there all of the time. I'm only going to plop it down when I need to go out and get wood. And when I'm done getting wood, I'm just going to pick it back up with my multi-tool, making sure that it's on pickup blocks and not on salvage, and put it away until the next time that I need to use it. And even at that, it's still not severely dipping the hover vessel, so we're still in pretty good shape. All right, cool, guys. I'm going to press the N key. We're going to turn the symmetry plane off, and we're going to go ahead now and do our little test, or the first part of our test. We won't be able to see the results of it until the next episode. All right, let's go ahead and disconnect from the wireless menu. We're going to press F4, and we're going to unplug. If we forgot to do that, it's not a big deal. It'll just automatically disconnect once we get out of range. And is it morning or evening? It is morning. It's sunrise. That's actually good because we kind of want to, we want to make sure that 24-hour period goes by to really properly do our little test here. How do I know that's morning and not evening, besides the fact that it's rising in the east? Which is a little bit odd if you think about it, because that assumes that all planets are just like Earth, but let's not get into that discussion. The reason I know that actually is because, again, if you look in the upper right-hand corner, it says cloudy, it says crash site because that's a biome, and then it says 11:31 with an arrow pointing down, which means that sunset will occur in 11.5 hours, in-game hours from now. Or just know that the sun rises in the east and settles in the west, even in the Andromeda Galaxy. By the way, did you guys know that? We are in the Andromeda Galaxy in this game. I don't know if I ever said that to you. Now you know. Okay, so here's the deal. Let's hop into our handy-dandy hover vessel. I'm going to press the P key and go to the main tab and make sure we've got decent fuel, which we do. We have no ammo in this vessel. Why don't we have any ammo? Did I take it out? Not sure. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click the Manage button. I'm going to go over to here and go to the base and look in the output and in the input and realize I don't have any ammo at all. I must have shot it all up. For goodness sakes. That's not entirely true. Look in the lower left-hand corner on my toolbar. It shows that I actually still have 222 rounds, but those are inside my gun. I have no additional ammo other than what's in the guns. That's okay because we're not going very far from the base, and we probably won't use the guns unless we run into some spiders, which we might actually. Okay, so let's hit the 3 key to switch to our harvester, and look at that thing go. Keep your hands and feet and fingers away from the harvester. All right, so here's what we're going to do, guys. We're going to cut down a bunch of these trees, and maybe we'll even harvest some of the stones with our drill. Ooh, we haven't used the drill yet, have we? I forgot about that. Okay, we'll use the drill a little bit too. In other words, we're going to clear some of this stuff out of here destructively, and then we're going to see if tomorrow, in-game tomorrow, if that stuff grows back or not. Okay, let's do it. Whoa! Okay, I almost tipped all the way upside down. Oh my god, I did tip all the way upside down. I'm doing this on purpose. Do you remember how we fixed this? We talked about this in episode 4 or 5. I know, that was a long time ago. How do I fix this? I simply press and hold the O key, and the vessel will right itself. It'll happen. Very useful to know about that O key. I am activating the harvester with the left mouse button, of course. Now look at the meter above the toolbar to the left. Because I have the harvester selected, now what it's actually telling me is how full my controller is. My controller along with its extension. So I'm 23.5% full. Very useful, because now I don't have to stop and go look into my inventory and figure out where the hell that controller is, and then, you know, look down here. It's just, I can just look down here and it'll automatically tell me. So I can just keep working until I get filled up. I'm going to make another one of these for a second because I want to do a comparison for you in a second. Okay, so see how the harvester does not work on stone, or in that case, that's actually iron. Let's find an actual stone. I'm 90% sure it doesn't work on stone anymore. It used to. Here's a stone. Yeah, it doesn't work anymore. Okay. But that's okay. If I was seriously after stone in my hover vessel, I would use drills. I wouldn't use a harvester anyway. Okay, let's just zap a couple more trees here. The art of deforestation. One of the things that... Oh, shit. Okay, notice that we're near the spider's nest. So, guess what's near spider's nest? Yep, you guessed it. Let's kill these... Oh, shit. Let's kill these son of a bitches. Weapon malfunction. Oh, you know what? Ah, we can't use our Gatling guns, because guess what? Some idiot put the harvester right in front of the guns, and so now they're blocked from firing. I wonder who did that. Let's just avoid those guys. We won't worry about them right at the moment. They're not a huge threat to us as long as we don't let them sit here and chew on our hover vessel. Go away, cricket. You son of a... Okay, I think we've probably cleared enough trees to be able to tell if they come back tomorrow morning. Maybe we'll just knock down a couple more, so that there can be no shadow of a doubt. Now we're at 7. We just hit 70% full. Notice how the meter turned yellow now. So it's just telling us, hey, you're getting close, but you still have some space left. Damn spiders. Okay. I think we'll definitely be able to tell if those trees come back tomorrow morning. Whoop. Okay. Okay to the rescue. Okay, now let's also harvest a couple of stones whilst we're at it. And I just want to show you why the drill is infinitely better than the survival tool when it comes to mining. All right, so we have our drill down here. We made the drill charges for it, I think at the end of the last episode, or maybe I made them after, I can't remember. But anyways, we got the drill charges made here. And so we're going to access our drill. And actually, no, let's do the survival tool first. So we've got a copper stone there, and a silicon stone, and an iron stone here. Okay, so let's just do... I think the hit points are the same on all of them, but let's just make sure we're comparing apples with apples, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to get out our shotgun and send this guy packing. You son of a... Uh-oh. I accidentally hit the reload key, I think. Okay, we're going to shift plus F to auto-loot that guy, and then we're going to watch out for this guy so he doesn't bite us in the ass. Spiders can poison you, as you can imagine, and if they do, then, you know, you have to take whatever medical device is required for that. Which you can find, if you didn't already know, you can find that in the Empyrionpedia. Empyriopedia. Okay, is that it for all the spiders in the immediate vicinity? I think so. All right, so here's the deal. We're going to harvest this ironstone with Ye Old Survival Tool. We're going to make sure it's on Resource Drill. And here we go. So that took about, what, 5-6 seconds or so-ish? Now what we're going to do is we're going to harvest an ironstone with our real drill. We're going to right-click, make sure that it's on Resource Drill. I'll talk about these other modes here in just a bit. And watch this. Boom. See the difference there? That's why the drill, ladies and gentlemen, is so much better than the survival tool. But it can do more, too. It sounds like a frickin' info commercial, huh? But wait, that's not all. Okay, let's harvest up this silicon real quick with our beloved drill. We'll get the copper, this other silicon and the copper, too, since it's right here. And we're going to check, you know, this is part of our test, right? We're going to check tomorrow morning in-game to see if this stuff has come back, along with the trees. Here, let's just click, or pick the corn dogs there, and continue queuing up more of those. All right, so, cool. Now, let's just very quickly talk about the drill. And guys, there's no way we're going to get to the greenhouse in this episode. We're going to have to do that in the next episode. So we'll just end this one by looking at a couple of, you know, drill basics. So this tool is very powerful, and it can also be very destructive. So you have to be, you know, you have to kind of be careful with it. But let's look at the modes. So resource drill mode is your main drill mode, right? And if I select it, again, if you look in the lower right-hand corner, it shows me that little drill mode icon. This thing will tear up the ground quick, so watch this. I mean, it just goes to town. So amazing. And you know what? There's even a better version of this drill called the Epic Drill that you'll find if you go through one of the later quest storylines. But I'm not going to spoil that for you. In comparison, this is what this wimpy sucker does. See the difference there? Huge difference. I will tell you one thing, though, that the survival tool is actually a little bit better at than the drill, and that's mowing the grass. Remember we looked at this several episodes ago? If I just do a really quick tap, it does a nice job of mowing the lawn for me, right? This guy is so destructive that it's super hard to do that, if not impossible, without putting a divot in the ground. So, there you go. The survival tool is still better than the main drill when you need to mow the lawn. Otherwise, it sucks. Okay, so yeah, this thing will drill very quickly down into the ground. Now, one of the things I think I told you guys this, one common practice that I do once I get my drill is if I'm going to mine a resource, what I'll do is let's just pretend that the resource is right below us. I know it's not, but let's just pretend that it is, okay? What I'm going to do is I'm just going to punch straight down with my drone, get all the way down to the resource itself, right? Mine it out, but now I've got this big, nasty, dangerous hole in the ground that if someone falls into, they're going to break a leg or worse, right? So what I will do when I'm done is I'll use the filler tool. Right-click, go to filler, and watch this. See, it fills the hole in. So the filler tool manufactures this kind of, I don't know, almost grit-looking stuff, and then you can use it to fill in holes in the ground so people don't fall in later and break their leg. And I'm doing this in the drone. If I do it in person, then I can actually see, you know, the little beam that it's squirting out. So that's the filler tool. Now the thing about the filler tool is it's kind of like using a caulk gun on steroids, right? The thing will almost always fill more than you really want it to, and there's not, you know, it doesn't have really have a fine mode. The drill, however, does. So let's look at that next. If I right-click, over on the right I have the fine drill. Notice it says removes terrain in a smaller radius than the resource drill, and will not extract ores, but destroys deposits in stone or content. So you don't use this to harvest, guys. You use this to do some fine-tuned sculpturing of the land. Whoops, I didn't set it on. So see how it's doing a much gentler cutting away, so to speak, of the landscape here than the big drill does. So you'll want to use that if you have an area that you want to kind of trim up a little bit, but you don't want to just completely go balls to the wall with the big drill and cut a huge hole that you didn't mean to cut. What happens though if that does actually happen? Well, guess what? That's where the flattener tool comes into play. So let's do this. Let's go back to the filler tool for a second, and let's just kind of fill this in, and we have this, kind of have this big ugly divot here now too. So, and what I want to do is I want to make this area here as flat as possible because I'm planning on, say, building on it, maybe. Okay, so here's the thing that you need to know about the flattener tool. First of all, never use the flattening tool in your drone. Don't do it. It's a bad idea. Why? Because the flattening tool flattens the ground that your feet are standing on. If you are in your drone, you don't have your feet on the ground. It can be really hard to approximate what that level is, and so you'll get undesirable results in your drone. You want to use the flattening tool in person so that you know that wherever your feet are currently standing, that's what it's going to level the ground out to. Probably the most important thing I can tell you about the flattening tool, okay? We need to keep an eye on this little rat bastard. He might try and sneak up on us and take a bite out of our ass, so we got to watch out for him. I kid you not. Can't trust him. Okay, so here's what I want to do. I want to level out this area. And, I made this with the filler tool, of course, but this could be the actual natural terrain that's just a little bit rough and you want to level it out. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to select the flattening tool. I'm going to make sure that I'm standing on my own 2 feet on the ground, and then I'm going to start squirting. Now, what the game's going to do is it's going to perform calculations on the voxels to try and get everything flattened out based upon where you're standing, right? Ish, even with your feet, in other words. So as long as I just kind of keep squirting this, it's going to keep leveling things out until everything's nice and flat based upon where I'm standing. And that's how the flattener tool works. Super, super useful tool, guys. Super useful tool. And, the beam will squirt out quite a ways, too, so you don't have to even be standing really close to it. But you just have to kind of work it, work it a little bit back and forth. Work it. Okay, I'm sorry, I'll stop. Like this, until you get a nice, smooth, flat area. If your intention is to then lay blocks over this, it doesn't have to be perfectly flat, because the blocks will cover, the minor undulations of the landscape. But if it's a big, it's a big section, you're going to want to get it relatively flat. In some cases, though, you might want to just make a nice little flat area to, as a temporary parking spot for your small vessel or something like that. In that case, and you're not going to put blocks down. In that case, you probably are going to want to work it. I'm sorry, I lied to you. I said I was going to stop, didn't I? Until it's nice and flat for you. Beautiful tool, you guys. Love the flattening tool in this game. You just have to remember to use it effectively. You've got to be standing on your own 2 feet, because then you're telling the game, this is the level that I want you to flatten everything to, where my toes are. Okay? Flattener tool. Gotta love it. See, look at this nice little flat area now. It looks beautiful, doesn't it? Well, it looks a little bit wonky because I see you. I see you. Okay. We're not taking any shit from him. Preemptive strike, baby. Preemptive strike. That's what you need to know about the drill. It's an amazing tool. It's an amazing tool. Oh, someone else asked me this question too. Let's look at this and then we got to wrap things up. I'm going to go back to the normal drill. You see you got this big little circle doohickey, and then you got like the smaller circle thingamadoodle in the middle. Well, basically, all the smaller circle thing is it's just kind of like a little aiming place for you if you want to get right in the center of a particular area. Like maybe I just want to, zap off the top of this kind of thing. The material that's actually going to be removed is what's in the larger circle. So if I do a squirt, see, it's not perfectly round, but it's generally within that larger circle. That's the material that's going to be removed when you use the drill. Okay? So use the centerpiece if you want to, to kind of aim a little bit. The little rotating thing that it does is doesn't have serve any functional purpose other than just to show, like, you know, a little rotating thing, I guess. But it's the larger circle area. That's the area that you need to understand it is going to remove the material that thing's in. Okay? Man, I really screwed up the world, didn't I? Well, what I could do if I wanted to is fill that back in and try and smooth it out, but I'm not going to do that. I will tell you one thing, guys. As much as I love the flattening tool, it is very difficult in this game to create a smooth slope. In fact, I don't even really know how to do that. It's very hard to do that. So if some of you more experienced players are watching this video and you know a good way to make a smooth slope, let us know, because I would actually like to know that too. I have not been able to really do it. Did we loot this guy? No, we didn't. We didn't have. Guys, that is it for this episode. So what's going to happen is tomorrow morning, in-game tomorrow morning, we're going to log back in. I'm going to start the next episode, and we're going to see if we've got a bunch of trees and resource stones back over in this little area here or not. And then we will settle once and for all, at least in version 1.1, which, by the way, we're on version 1.1 now. I didn't even mention that to you guys. If stuff will respawn. Bug or no bug, I don't care if it's a bug or not. I just want to know if it's going to happen or not. Okay? That's it for this episode. We'll catch you guys in the next one. Don't forget, you can find the index and the table of contents in the description of these videos. However, the index part, it takes me a lot of work, and so I'm just working on that little by little. Eventually, though, it is my intention to have every video indexed with time codes for very specific things so that you can go directly to that if you don't want to watch the whole video. Guys, I need to go eat dinner and hang out with my wife. I'll see you the next time around. Bye-bye.